want to quickly mention our sponsor, Spreads.ca. It's the First Nations owned online casino and sportsbook, and it's tailored for Canadians. Sign up now and enter the promo GRAPES, and they'll match your deposit 100% up to $500. So if you put $50 in, they'll give you $50. You get 15 free spins on the wheel to win some big dough. And then when you sign up for the first time, they'll give you $25 for a free bet.
No, I had a couple of guys come up to me, and they want to bet. Okay, Tim, this putting you on the spot again. If I want to bet on $20 on a certain thing, say I want to bet on something, who do I phone or what do I do? So,
well, you go on spreads.ca.
Oh, spreads.ca.
Okay, and you have
how do you spell that? Like
Spreads, SPREADS .ca.
Okay, yeah.
And then what you do is you have to sign up. So you put your email address in and you put a password in. And then you have to...
You make up your password?
Make up your own password. Yeah. And then you have to put money into your...
How do you do that now?
Well, there's a way you put it through your credit card.
Credit card, yeah.
You put it up. And then you could go... They have online casino, so you can play... blackjack.
Oh, yeah.
You can play and then the nice thing with that too is that you can play 50-cent blackjack. So if you just want to go and spend some time and play blackjack, 50 cents, you don't have to spend $5. And then, or you can go on the sports book, and then they have a list of all the different sporting events, and then you go in. Okay. So like if you were going to bet on the World Series, you go on the World Series, and then they give you the odds, and then they also have prop bets and like who's going to score first. And even which is kind of cool now, they have things where like halfway through the game, like if you're watching an NFL game, some of the games you can still bet who's going to win even at halftime.
Oh, yeah.
If they're going to come back and all that stuff.
What did you think of, not that you were talking about the World Series, what did you think of the manager pulling Snell?
That's the thing that so people that don't know what happened was the LA Dodgers won the World Series, and in Game 6, Tampa Bay had to win. They were down, right?
1-0.
1-0. So...
And he was smoking. Snell was smoking.
The sixth inning, Rays were up 1-0, and the starter Blake Snell. I mean, he was just unbelievable,
nailing everybody.
1 hit, 9 strikeout. He struck out 9 out of 16 batters. And then
what did Bet say after? Like when
well, he interviewed Mookie Betts because he was the star for the Dodgers, and they said, "What do you think of taking Snell?" And he said, "I don't know about that move. I don't like." He didn't. He said me reading the Dodger dugout was just ecstatic. So they pull him. They pull the man. They pull the pitcher, and 2 batters later they're down.
They put a guy in Jackson. I felt sorry for him.
You could say that if the other team is happy of a move that you make on your own team, that it might not have been the right move. Is that?
Well, it's funny.
Could you do that assumption?
You know, it's a funny thing. I'm watching the game. And he got a single off. He got a single. Mm-hmm. And he saw the guy coming out. And we can't say what he said to himself because he did not want to come out. And they had a rule. Now, go ahead, tell about analytical. I don't know how to say.
Well, you're good friends with a guy from Kingston, Bob Elliott, who's in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and the only Canadian that...
The only Canadian writer in the Baseball Hall of Fame, which is something, because the Baseball Hall of Fame is tough to get into.
They're all American.
And so I said, so you sent some emails back, and I said, what'd you think of that? And he said that the manager, what's his name, Cash, he says he has no control over that they have analytics, they have people who just put in numbers, and the numbers say to take Snell out because it's the third time this is the third time through the lineup, and to pull him. And he says that the manager's in a no-win situation because he's told to pull him, and if he doesn't pull him, well, then it's your head.
And he just got a single, so he give it. I often wonder if he had stuck that guy out, And I said he's not going to take him out. Holy smoke! I said, is he going to get if this Jackson doesn't pitch well, and he bing, 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 and they lost. That's where they lost the game, but. I said, if he doesn't pitch well, this manager is going to get it. But Brian Kilray, the winningest coach of all time in junior hockey, I think you sent over a thing about him, what he thought of.
They asked him. They said, does analytics, which is the number crunching to get in, what to make a decision, have any place in hockey? And he goes, yeah, in the bathroom.
In the washroom.
You were never a stats guy, were you? Like when you coached the Bruins, did you ever look at stats? You're big on plus and minus, but
No, I didn't. I wasn't.
you didn't even look at the plus and minus?
When the guy came in, I just hold my hand up like that because I tell it for the first time. The first time I looked at that, and, this is the NHL, not the American. We lost. A guy like that, he'd come in, he opened the door, he'd always bring it in, and he'd put it down, and I would never look at it. I did not know till you told me that Ricky Smith on our team was the highest plus outside of Bobby Orr. I mean, Bobby Orr played. Imagine Bobby Orr was a plus 123. Ricky Smith, when
was the 77, 78 the year we got 11, 20 goal scorers, was plus 70.
Plus 70. And the guy that won it this year was Graves. What was his first name? I forget. Ryan Graves. He was plus 40. And Ricky Smith was plus 70. I didn't know. And you did not. You had to tell me. I did not know.
Yeah.
So you were so not into stats.
No, I did not.
You didn't even like the shots on goal.
No.
Like the Boston Gardens at the time was the only place where they didn't have shots on goal.
At one time, it was the only place that had a special clock.
That's right.
For shot on goal. So I'd be back at the bench, and I'd listen to Phil Esposito. See, he didn't give us a shot. Like, who cares if he didn't? Some guy upstairs didn't give us a shot there. He was more worried about the shots on net. Now, you have to be very careful with the guy that has shots on net, because what happens is you can make your goaltender look bad, or you can make your goaltender look good. These guys were worried, and I said, Harry, if you don't take that shot clock down, I said, it's bothering a guy like Phil. I mean, he look after every shot, he'd look up at the clock.
Well, Gilbert used to look up at the shots.
And Gilbert used to look up at the clock. I said, Harry, take that. We were the only team in the league that had that clock shot separate. It was, I remember.
It wasn't on the scoreboard.
No, it was and everybody used to look at it. I said, Harry, and I'm telling you, take that clock down or I'm going to rip it off the wall. And because
Well, because like Gilbert, he'd get mad if he make a save and they didn't give a shot.
Yeah.
He'd say, well,
I think I remember it was only at one end, right?
It was at the one end.
It was the one end. And when Gilly was playing in front of the shot clock, he would actually look over his shoulder and look at the clock.
We were more worried about shots on net than we were winning the game.
I remember that. I go, oh, my, because I'd sit with Mom. I said, look at Gilly. I says, you look behind him. I said, that just bugs Dad. I said, something's going to happen.
And you guys I didn't know too much about Gilly, but Esposito used to bother me. He'd get a shot, he'd be happy. What's a shot mean? Doesn't mean anything. And so anyhow,
I got to tell a quick story about plus minus. And again, you never really, like we talk about it now kind of as a gauge, but you never looked at it.
I never looked at it because I didn't want to look at it. But
we were in Colorado, and remember we were in Colorado, and I was in your office, and you were in your office, and Dad's desk was kind of messy as it was, and Mike Christie came in.
Oh yeah, he was waiting.
He came in. He wanted, and then you were on the phone, and so he wanted to talk to you about something. So Mike's just kind of looking at your desk.
He's just
pulling stuff around, being nosy, right?
And I hear him, yeah.
And he picks up and he goes minus 40.
38, I think it was.
Minus 38.
30.
He goes, oh my God. He goes, I know I was having a rough season, but minus 38, he just collapsed into the corner. And then he went a tirade on Hardy Astrom like you can't believe.
Don't you worry about it. And he was playing good, but every time he stepped on the ice, Hardy had let in a goal. It seemed every time. And I remember one time in Winnipeg, we must talk about that one, that he actually had the guy over at the side, perfect, and the guy just put a feeble shot on that, and he scored. And I remember him standing in the corner, leaning on the boards, thinking. I mean, it was unbelievable, thinking on the boards. And I remember Mike Christie. I mean, he was God love him. He had a little with his kidney later on, but boy, was he was a great guy.
But I remember him looking just a shock on his face that he was and that's why. And you know what Brian Kilray said? I remember talking to him about plus minus, and I asked him, I said, do you look at plus minus? When he goes, no. And he says, if somebody has, he goes, what they should do is every month they should start over again.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because he says, if you have a bad month and you're minus 15, you're never going to catch up. right?
Never.
You're never going to catch up. At best, you're going to be as even. But then if you start at zero
good
and you
idea.
have a good month,
why he was
and you look and you
coaching.
can say, well, you know he's playing better because this month he's plus 5 or 6, where last month he was minus 10 or 15. And so, but like you Brian Killer is like you. He never looked at.
And then you look at some of these coaches; they live and die by stats.
Well, that
Because you were saying they don't have a feel for the
especially
team.
baseball.
They don't have a feel for the team like you did.
I think this guy knew, but what's he going to do? It was how many? I mean, he was right on the money, and the guy got the single, and I thought, holy smokes, he's not going to pull. And the guy did not want to come out, and the L.A. Dodgers, they were so happy to see him being pulled. That's the guy. Whoever said, and well, you know what Tampa said? They got me to the final analytical or whatever you call it. Got it to the final, so you had to go along with it. But
yeah, but
and he's taking all the shots.
Right, and that's what the one guy, I remember the one guy from, I think his name was Kevin Miller from Major League Baseball, says, why aren't the guys who do the analytics, why aren't they up answering the questions by the media?
He didn't know what to do.
Like what the plan. So,
But he's taking the shots, and you know what? That'll follow him around. You know what? They'll be mentioning that 10 years from now because that was so... It was so obvious. I mean, a dumbhead would know not to pull this guy because they couldn't even touch him. They weren't even near. What was this?
He had in 6 innings. He had one hit. One hit. He had 1 run, and he struck out 9 out of 16 batters.
Unbelievable.
But there again, Dad, if you got a coach that's worrying about his job, obviously, if he went against upper management, he'd be worried about his job.
I know that.
And that's why you got a lot of times.
Well, the thing is, and the people that know the first is the players. The players know if a guy
you're
is
management or you're one of those guys.
And I got told I got to be more management. I remember the very first time I coached Doug Adams, God love him. He's died. I think he's died. Better be careful. But he was a golf guy, and he came in and he said, "You got to be more management if you want to get by in hockey or you got to be more management than you are players." I didn't pay any attention to him.
So do you think, you've always talked about a manager and a coach and handling the dressing room. Like, do you think the Tampa Bay Ray baseball players now?
They knew.
They don't look at him the same way.
Nope, they don't. They know that he's being told, and he wanted to keep his job.
Exactly.
And Tampa Bay had the smallest
payroll. Mookie Betts.
What was the stats you were saying
Mookie
about?
Betts, who was is he a right fielder for the Dodgers, made more money than the starting lineup of the whole Tampa Bay.
And they won, so it paid off. And they get big crowds, and they can afford it. But Mookie Betts, imagine making more money, and Tampa Bay, they don't try anything. I got they had a bad arena or bad baseball or something. Anyhow, they don't try anything. And here they are in the finals. And they had the most expensive team, the Dodgers, who won, and the least expensive, salary-wise, was the Tampa. So that was as far as... So anyhow, that's gone. We're talking about it, but that manager will be... that's the guy that pulled that guy. And Snell... he was on a roll. I mean, you could see the confidence in this guy. He knew he had them.
But
you're always telling me that pulling a pitcher is not the same as pulling a goalie. But in that case, it might have been because he was upset.
Yeah, I know he was really upset.